Thank you. We'll start off and let you know that there's a lot of material going to be covered. You don't need to write it down, take notes. We're going to have the materials posted. But I'm going to tell you how to fix it before it breaks. That's what we're going to talk about today. California, we're technical people. We love living in California, and we are number one as far as the amount of dollars we are ripped off. So over $600 million stolen from Californians through these various schemes. We're going to talk about what the schemes are. You'll be able to articulate to your friends how to avoid getting ripped off. You see, it's a growing problem. 2016, 300,000 complaints received. You jump up to 2020, people are having COVID, they're locked in, they have nothing to do but to try to come up with more schemes, more cons to try to take money from you. And the number just keeps growing. I heard a comment this morning, I haven't been ripped off because I'm smart. That's not the right attitude to have, because all of us are eventually going to find that threshold where we're going to fall for it. This graphic shows you where they're going to come up. It's going to be a phone call, unsolicited phone call, a pop-up ad, unsolicited email, or a website redirect, where you go to a website and click on a redirect. This shows the number of times, about 80% of the time, 70% of the time, people say, oh, I'm not going to follow that. But that means 3 out of 10, they are going to fall for it, and they're going to continue to fall for it and lose money. And it doesn't mean that you're just beginners. Oh, only the neophytes are the ones falling for that. That's not what the data shows. The data shows that even those that are considered themselves expert or advanced, over half of the people who fall for these kind of scams are the smart ones, are the ones who are experienced, and they're going to still be ripped off. So how do they hurt you? You go to a website requested by a caller, you can see the change over time. Here at the bottom, suddenly they're gaining access to your online banking. They're getting you to invest in Bitcoin. We're going to look at a number of examples of emails and text messages and phone calls that are scams, that are people trying to take money from you. Bill mentioned that years ago, none of us are fooled by the Nigerian prince anymore. We're pretty much too smart for that. But I'll put this over here since that's where my voice is going. Flip over to this live, Greg, or Steve. You're going to go to that live screen for us. So you think about how often is this happening? This is a live feed from one of about a dozen different companies that post real-time intrusion attempts. So they sell software to protect against intrusion, and they're showing you what's going on in the world. So every one of these things looks like a little missile being fired from one country to another, is showing intrusion attacks. There's tens of millions of them that are happening every single day through various scammers trying to find ways into your pocketbook. So you take a look at that and you realize that you're not alone, it's only getting worse, and like I said, there's about a dozen different companies that sell the software, so this is 1/10, 1/12 of the number of attempts that are being made to steal money from you. So it's getting worse. Why are seniors being attacked? Well, they interviewed a famous bank robber one time and said, why do you rob banks? He said, that's where the money is. So seniors have the money. You've also got trusting and kind and polite. No, I really can't talk now. No, I want to hang up. Okay, all right, I'll talk to your supervisor. Hang up. We're trained not to do that. Don't be rude. The email scheme that most of my friends have fallen for, the one that says, hey, do you have an Amazon bank account? I hurt my leg. Don't call me, my phone's not working right now, but can you help me out? And of course, serve. It's this first S. I'm going to help you. I'm going to serve you. Let me give you, and that's what you're going to end up doing. You're also lonely, so hey, talking to a person on the phone for an hour or so might not be too bad of an idea. You're fearful. I don't want my kids to find out that I was in trouble, so when the scammer is telling me, now don't tell anybody, I'm not going to tell anybody because I'll be embarrassed. They're going to they already took away my car, now they're going to take away my computer. I'm not going to admit that I've done any of this stuff. So seniors again and again are made victim, and we're going to make sure that you're not ignorant. That's the purpose of today's seminar, is to understand what those risks are. So let's look at some common terms. The first one, I hear people call and say, Frank, I've been hacked. And I say, really, you've been hacked? Really? So somebody targeted you, came up with software to crack the code of your computer? No. Well, not really. I got a phone call, and they said they were from the policeman's union, and they were raising money, and they needed my credit card. So you were conned. So we're going to talk about the different terms here. So a scam or a con comes from the term confidence, right? The confidence man, they would win you over and get you into their confidence and then figure out a way of taking your money from you. So most people we encounter today are actually just scammed. Then there are a scheme called phishing or smishing. These are new terms. This is a way that they're going to look like a friend of yours. I'm going to get an email from Larry, and it's going to say, Frank, I'm out on the backyard. I need some extra help, but I can't get to you. Can you run to the store and get me an Amazon gift card? I forgot about Judy's birthday. And I'm going to say, yeah, Jesus, from Larry. He's my friend. I'll do that. Smishing, same idea, where they're going to pose as someone else but come in through your telephone. So they're going to come in through an SMS message and pose as a fraud that way. Ransomware, we've heard about this. It's hit things like hospitals and schools where they actually send an email, the person opens the email, and it suddenly puts a virus on their system, locks it down, and says, give us money, ransom, or you'll never see your photos again. We're going to take over your photos. We're going to delete all your files, something like that. So that happens not much to individuals so much as organizations, because they are making money and they're getting paid. We know of communities near us, Livermore, had to pay almost $5 million to get unlocked, to get away from, get their data back. And then the classic virus. This is how things started 10 years ago, that we said, oh, I got a virus. Something has infected my computer, in the analogy to human invention. And you'll typically have to run a program. There's actually viruses out there that are so sophisticated, you don't even have to click on them. They're called no-click. That is just receiving the email. But the good news is you're not running a nuclear lab. You're not a real target for that kind of level of sophistication. You typically have to click on something. So if you accidentally or intentionally click on something, that's how you're going to get into trouble. Hacking, that's something that we use the term, I've been hacked, illegally breaking into computers, very, very rare. Most of the time you're going to be scammed, you're going to be conned, and we're going to try to teach you how to not do that. So how can we do that? We're going to have you fix it before it's broken. And the first one is to freeze your credit. That's where people are really targeting, is that I can open up a credit card account in your name. I want you to freeze credit. We're going to tell you how to do that. Every one of the items on this slide has a how-to, and it's included on the website to show you how. We want you to install the protection software. It used to be called antivirus software, but now it covers everything from flagging an email that comes in that's bad, alerting you to a website that you're about to go to that's not a legitimate website. So we're going to want you to do something with protection software. Examining deceptive emails. This is the learning part of today's classes. We're actually going to teach you to look for those keywords that are going to tip you off that somebody's trying to steal from you. Password managers. So many of the times when I go and make house calls and try to help people, 90% of the time is me helping them try to remember what their password was so we can fix whatever was wrong. A quick word on passwords. Your telephone is 10 digits long. If you have a 12-digit password, just digits, software out there by the names like Cain and Abel is one of the rip-off software programs. One is called John the Ripper. These are all programs that are intended to steal your password. To what they do brute force is they just keep trying combinations. A 12-digit password, all numbers, can be broken in about 30 seconds. So it doesn't take very long. If you introduce one letter in there, the letter N, suddenly it's 3 weeks. If you put a capital letter and a lowercase, now it's 3 years. So your password has to be complex. It has to have uppercase, lowercase, symbols like that, and it's got to be at least 8 characters long with all that included. So we're going to talk about that in a password manager. Don't put a password in your Word document on your computer called passwords. Don't have an Excel spreadsheet that's called passwords and have all your passwords. Most of the places I go, they've got a Rolodex and they're opening it up and they're reading through and it's scratched out 3 times and somebody changed it. My nephew was here to help me and he changed it, I think. And passwords are the biggest challenge. Use a tool that's going to help you get smart and remember it. Two-factor or multi-factor authentication. This is the way that if you do online banking, if you do anything with online credit cards, online accounts, you've got to have a way that they're going to confirm you're you. Typically by sending a text message to your phone. It can also be that you have to look at your phone. It could also be that you have to have your phone and acknowledge an application. But multi-factor authentication is something we have to do. Backing up your files, that's the only protection against ransomware. And finally, keep your data up to date, forcing your telephone, forcing your computer to stay up to date, stay current. So that's it. I can end the presentation right there, and that's all we're going to teach you today is to fix it before it's broken. But now we're going to dive in and talk about each one of those and give you an idea. So please do not reuse passwords. You're going to use the same password again and again. It's going to be stolen by somebody online. They're going to know that you've used this password to go to Toys R Us, and they're going to try that password on every one of your other sites. And if you used it anywhere else, they're going to allow you to get into your account. We don't want to do that. Don't keep them on a file on your computer. Don't believe emails that say, urgent, do it now, something time limited. We're going to teach you an art of hovering, where you're, instead of following a link, you're going to just move your mouse cursor over that link and let it reveal where it's about to take you. And we're going to help you spot which ones are legitimate and which ones are not legitimate. We don't want you to call the phone number. When it gives you an email or a text number, we want you to, and if somebody contacts you and says, I'm with Pleasanton Police, you say, okay, thank you, I'll call back, hang up, and now you call the Pleasanton Police, you call the IRS, you call the Ford Insurance, whoever identifies that they're the ones calling you. Don't click on attachments. We're going to talk about which attachments you can safely click on. We want you to don't use free sites. So here you'll come to our church. We've got Wi-Fi here. Can you join that Wi-Fi and do your banking on it? You probably can. Are you going to be safe? We don't want you to do it even in church. So VPNs, this is a technology that comes with your phone. It's free. It comes with all this protection software that you're going to have. We're going to teach you how to do it. If not in today's seminar, contact us through the church office. We'll literally come to your house and help you set all that up so you'll be protected. Finally, little things like carrying your Social Security card in your wallet. You lose your wallet, now you've lost one of the big building blocks that allows people to create credit accounts in your name, is using that Social Security number. So freezing your credit, how do we do it? Don't worry about writing this down, don't worry about the numbers. All this is posted on the church website under /helpinghands. /helpinghands at the end of the church website. It'll give you the numbers for Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion to freeze your credit. There's no cost to doing this. The reason it's done it is Congress has realized so many companies have had their database stolen, and what they do is they use that information to eventually create a credit account in your name, and I can buy things, and of course then I don't pay them off. And guess who's stuck with that expense? They do it for free. There's a small asterisk up there that says it's free. The state of California and other states, sometimes when it's time for your insurance to renew, will say, let me check their credit. I know I'm going to renew their insurance, but let me check their credit. Oh, their credit's locked. Ooh, they're probably ashamed. I better raise the price of their insurance. So be careful if your insurance company does check your credit when they reassess your annual fee, because theoretically they could think you're hiding something. That's the only downside to freezing your credit that I see, and it's something we all should do before the end of the day. It's free. You have to unfreeze it when you want to unfreeze it, and it's free to unfreeze. You literally can do it online or with a phone call. So if you're going to buy a car, if you're going to refinance your mortgage, if you're going to get a credit card from Lazy Boy, something that needs your credit to be open, you can unfreeze it. But it should be frozen permanently, in my opinion. You got to install some protection software. It used to be called antivirus software, but in reality it is not only antivirus, but it also gives you a lot of other things. This virtual private network, that's a way of encrypting data that's being sent back and forth, not only even within your home, but right now my phone, if I join the church website, all my data is encrypted, just getting back and forth across that VPN. If I ever go to a Starbucks or any of the places that offer free Wi-Fi, I would never use it without using the secure VPN feature that is included free in the software I got because I bought antivirus software, Norton, McAfee, those kind of things. In fact, most of the spam email I get says, oh, your McAfee account is about to expire. And you're like, I don't even have a McAfee account. So they're, again, using these social engineering ways to try to come in. So there's free versions. Windows has something called Bitdefender. You don't necessarily have to pay for this, but this will run you anywhere from $100 a year, well worth the expense. Next is examining those emails. First thing you want to do is look at that return email address. Oftentimes it'll say Amazon customer at, and then a bunch of numbers and letters that don't make any sense. It's not really Amazon. So we're going to show you some examples of doing that. Is it addressed to you, or does it say dear customer? Little clues like that. If it's legitimate, it'll often know my name. Not that that's indefensible. As Bill said, they're getting better and better. So suddenly it used to be Dear Customer, now it says Dear F. Napoleon. And then it's Dear Frank, and then it's Hi Frank, and they're getting more and more friendly. They're getting better at making it look like a legitimate email. The company name, look at that. Usually asking for personal information is a dead giveaway, as is the language. And in fact, the companies that do the telemarketing ripoffs intentionally write the email with very poor English, because they know that if you're willing to call them for help when it says you may have infection, that's in their minds an IQ test that says you're probably vulnerable. If you're not picking up the fact that the language is so poorly written, they're using that to now say, oh, they're going to even fall for this even better. So they like that that's an initial screening, that you're willing to look at that really poor English. So let's look at some examples. Here's one here. This is an email that came in. It's it comes from manager. It's addressed to Sir, Ma'am. It gives me urgency. You are required to use this form to update your login information immediately. Immediately is spelled wrong. So click here. So these are the ones that are going to be easier to spot as fake. In general, we're not going to want to touch it at all. This one's a little better. It comes in global pay, restore your account. Dear customer, we regret to inform you that your account has been restricted. To continue using our services, please, misspelled, download the file. So again, these are the ones that you think, oh, heck, I'd never fall for that. They get better. They get smarter. This one came in and said, hotels.com, 50% off coupon code. I know hotels.com. I've used hotels.com. I've searched hotels.com. It's probably legitimate. A little bit of a nook that says you must click through this email to book, to redeem this coupon. Click here. Would it be nice to not be able to, or to see where that link is going to tell me without actually following it? That's where hovering comes in. The idea of a hover is you move your mouse over the hyperlinks, the ones that are different color, the ones that are big buttons, and just leave it there for a second. It will automatically open up and say, here's where I'm planning to send you. Here's one from Costco. Starts off bad news. I shop at Costco. Unfortunately, your order's been canceled. Oh man, maybe my wife placed an order. I haven't talked to her. Let me keep reading the email here. Please do it. If we don't hear timely, it's going to be, you'll give your money back less at 21% restocking order. I better act quickly. So again, I look, it's got Costco Wholesale, it's got a logo. But again, I look at the address. It's coming from manager@cbcbuilding.com. That doesn't look right. So my antennas are up, and I'm starting to see that this might not be right. Same thing, Best Buy. I shop at Best Buy all the time. Sir, madam, it's not been delivered because the address wasn't correct. Please fill out this form and send it back. All right, my wife must have ordered something. It's probably my birthday, and she didn't want to tell me. So let me go ahead and follow the link and just see. No, don't click on a link. Don't click on a link. Don't click on a link. Let's look at this one here. That little red banner, after I've put in my antivirus, anti-spam, anti-ripoff software, is going to now help read my emails and say, this looks like a little bit of a fake email. So it's giving me a warning. This might be a phishing message. So it's already telling me, PayPal, my account's limited. Tells me how to log in. It's got bad grammar. Now that hovering idea. Even though it says log into my account, I move my little mouse down there, leave it for a second, and this little box will pop up, and it's showing me that it's going to some hypertext terminal protocol, HTTP, and then a number. That's an IP address with a weird extension on the end. That's not going to paypal.com. So again, the hover is your friend anytime you're really, really tempted to click on a link, even though the answer is don't click on a link. Bank of America example. Coming from CRVVDG at Comcast.net. Why? They can't afford to have their own account at Bank of America. Nice big logo, looks good. Dear member, it's not addressed to me. Please sign into your account. Never sign into an account from a link in an email. Never. Every ripoff, and I'm talking over $10,000 in lost money, just in our church family, has been somebody who was told, oh, your Xfinity account is expiring, click here. And they've gone in, they've logged in, they've given their password, they've immediately, the people on the other end have emailed all their friends and said, I've fallen, I've hurt my leg, I can't get to the phone, can you go to Best Buy, buy a gift card, scratch off the back and send me a picture of it, and then I can get the medicine that I need. Always because people fell for the password change. In this one you can see it's going to a site called bit.do. There's utilities out there that'll take a very long URL and crush it down for you into something small, but it's usually an indication. So here's the number one scam in my experience doing Helping Hands ministry in our church is this one. Boy, that looks good. That's Xfinity, verify your email address. It's got the small print at the bottom that nobody ever reads. It just is comforting to see it there. It looks good. And again, in this case, if I were to hover, I would see that it's not legitimate. Same thing coming from Comcast. Click here to proceed to the verification process. This is the number one ripoff that people have fallen for, that keep getting their entire email address base stolen, all their friends emailed, all their friends then exposed to ripoff. And anywhere from several $100s in gift cards to many thousands of dollars because they fell for the number one scam. What's nice is companies like Amazon actually started sending out a letter and saying, hey, there's scams going on that are using our name. Don't fall for this. So this was a legitimate one. Here it's addressed to my name. And it does say, don't feel pressured to give information. Never pay over the phone. Trust only Amazon. Beware of false urgency. So they're trying to help too. They've recognized this is going on. I actually contacted, 5 on your side and said, why is Xfinity not doing more to help people keep from getting ripped off? The number one thing they can do is keep you from having your password changed except if you're on your home network. Because immediately when you log in, give me your password, I'm logging in, I'm changing that password, I'm addressing an email to all your friends, and they're going to get ripped off. Attachments. Claire, I really want you to see this. It's a great picture. Okay, I want to see that picture. Attachments are one of the ways that the true viruses can be installed on your computer. They're either going to redirect you, they're going to install software on your computer, but we're going to look at an attachment. Gives you usually an option to open or save. So these are a little bit of an education piece. Apple has dumbed down the computing experience to the point where sometimes you can't see the file name extension. It'll just say, my resume. And you're like, oh, my nephew's sending me his resume. He wanted me to look at it. I feel honored. Let me go ahead and click on that. But it's myresume.doxt.exe or something, and you think, what is all these numbers at the end? So this piggybacking, where they'll take and have an executable file masquerading as an attachment. This happened in a work environment that I was in. Talk about social engineering, a bunch of engineer nerds. It was like, you won't believe Anna Kournikova in this picture. And you're like, well, I want to see Anna Kournikova. She's a beautiful tennis player. Clicked on it. It was a .gif, which is the photo, .exe, and it immediately took over our network, and we had to go to backups. So falling for an attachment, generally safe, files that have those kind of attachments, even the ones that are PDFs, you think, oh, a photo, Adobe Photoshop format, that's nothing can happen with that. View it with your browser. The browsers are smart enough now that if you click on something, you're in your email attachment, it'll view it in the browser rather than actually opening it with a reader. Anything you can do to keep software from coming in and taking over is a good idea. Never enable any macros. It'll usually come up if you open a Word document from a friend, and it'll say, okay, we've opened this, but we're not going to enable some of the macros in here. We're not even going to allow you to edit it. They're trying to help you. Don't bypass those things that they're trying to do to help you to keep from getting stolen. So to see the extensions, there's some steps there. You could do that. We're not going to cover that today, but you can take a look at it. Now, text scams. Dear customer, Bank of America is closing your bank account. What? Please confirm your PIN. Okay. Why would they do that? Some of these are the ones I actually received. Hello, Olivia. FedEx package with a tracking number is waiting, but we need to know your delivery preferences. Ooh, somebody's sending me something. I just got to give them my address. Let me click on that. Don't click. This one here, Wells Fargo, there's a phone number, you're approved. Wait, I turned on alerts. Now I'm getting an alert that somebody has bought something. Let me follow that link to do it. No, what would you do? Go to your bank account, call your bank, go to your own bank account on your own website. This one was, again, they're getting better. This one's iCloud. I use iCloud. That's my backup software. It just requires my verification. The ID.apple.mobi, that looks legit. That's Apple stuff. Let me click on that. Don't click on it. Someone who came in contact with tested positive or showing symptoms, find out more. That, some of us went and turned on that app on our phone that was supposed to notify us if we were in contact. I've gotten emails that said, from a friend, a named friend, I tested positive, you need to fill out this form, and it's like, oh, there's a form, let me attach it. All ripoff, all smarter social engineering. This is one too. It comes in with an unknown number. Hey, it's John, I just got a new phone. Oh, thanks for letting me know. Hey, I hate to bother you, but I just got in a car accident. I need 200 bucks. Wait a minute, how do I know it's you? Oh, here's a picture of me, click here. So again, they get you a couple of steps down and you're going to click on that link. It's not going to be a picture of him. It's going to be some virus, some attachment that's going to hurt your phone. So how can people come through? Something called idea spoofing. This is where your phone rings and it says Xfinity. It says Comcast. It says PG&E. It says, Amazon. It looks like it's coming from a legitimate company. This is from a government recommended site that says they're using automated software. Use call blocking. As soon as I get one of those calls that I know is a rip, have you installed anti-spam on your phone? It's free from Verizon, free from AT&T. Has everybody installed that on their phone so that when the phone rings and it's spam, it actually comes up and says spam call? And you can just say silence, and then you can go in and say block. If you haven't done that, that's what Helping Hands does. It will help you set that up. It's free. It should be something that's being done. Password managers. I told you before that we can crack a password, 12-digit password in less than 30 seconds. So you've got to use a real password, even the ones that are built in, that you go to a website and it's like Safari or Chrome, it says, would you like to use our password? Yes, that's better than you making up your own, trying to remember what it was. It's not as good as a third-party password manager that you get free with Norton and with McAfee and with, if you buy a third-party package, but we'll help you set these up, we'll help you get them installed. Oops, one too far ahead. LastPass, Norton, McAfee, even the ones built in the browsers are good. Multi-factor or two-factor authentication. If you do any kind of banking on your phone or computer, you have to have this set up. You have to have two-factor authentication enabled. You have to have alerts set up on your credit cards. So every time your credit card is used, you get an alert. My phone dings while I'm checking out at Safeway. I put my phone and my card in, walk away, and before I've taken a step, my phone dings and says, oh, you just charged $25 at Safeway. So that's the way you get ahead of people doing what are called little samples. They're going to take and get your credit card number. One example, I have Apple Pay, right? I use my Apple Pay. I go to a gas station. I've bought my bottle of Gatorade, used Apple Pay. All of a sudden I get a ding that says, someone has tried charging $1 to your Amazon Web Services account. And I'm thinking, that's not me. Immediately shut it down, stopped all the ripoff. Would I have been protected anyway? Yes. But do I want these guys to win? Do I want them to be able to make money even though the credit company is covering it? No. Backing up. Backing up on phones has become so easy now. As long as you're typically willing to pay, because if you've got too many pictures and too many videos, you burn right through the free backup they give you. But if you're willing to pay a couple of bucks a month, backup is easier. You lose your phone, it crashes, you get a brand new one, it immediately installs, looks exactly like the one you had. They've done a wonderful job of doing that. Home computers, similar. A lot of free software. When you buy Norton, it's going to offer you free backup, 5 gig. Is that enough? Probably not. They're going to want a little bit more money to back up. But backup is the only way that you're going to have of recovering in the event of a catastrophic failure. Even if it's an external drive. Again, Helping Hands has set that stuff up for you. We come into your home, set it up. We don't even listen to your password. We'll help you set it up, get it working, and you'll be protected against catastrophic failure. Some bad advice was circulated a while ago that said, oh, never update your computer because you have to go online. I'm going to just leave mine. And I go in and I find computers that are 2, 3, 4 years behind, that are vulnerable to viruses and infections. Go ahead and force the updates. We can help you do it on your computer, whether it be a Mac, a PC, your phone, iPhone, or Androids. We'll help you do backups. All these devices typically have this software firewall. The ability to keep from getting infected. There's settings on how to do it in Windows and how to do it on your phone. Phones don't really have them, especially the iPhone. It's kind of what's considered a walled garden. Anything that you're getting from Amazon or from Apple has already been largely tested. Funny story, they kicked somebody off their platform who was offering to send you antivirus software, and it was virus itself. So you didn't need to do that. So browsers, this is a little side on what your browsers tell you. As soon as you log into my website, this is what I know about you. I know where you are, I can tell what kind of a computer you have, and infer how much money you have. If you've got that new 27-inch Apple computer with the big, beautiful display, I know you can probably afford to pay a little bit more for this stuff on Amazon. So I'm actually going to dynamically price the products that I'm selling you on Amazon based on what I know about you on your computer. So we're giving up all this information for free. Every place I swipe on my mouse, everywhere I've been, especially if I have recently been, oh, he was just on the Best Buy site, so he was shopping there. Now he's on the Amazon site. I know all that about you. That's why a lot of computers now will allow you to have a privacy setting. Change your privacy setting. Otherwise, you're looking at 3 different people seeing different prices for the exact same item, $297, $299, $311, based on what I know about you that you're telling me with your browser. So if you're running classic browsers, Safari, Chrome, all that stuff, we can show you how to put on settings inside the application that will help you change those settings. I'm going to just skip over the who's growing, but you can come into a setting and you can turn on more private browsing. There's browser extensions. One's called DuckDuckGo, which is my current favorite now. Completely anonymized as users. There's also called Ghost Site that hides you from these sites that are stealing information. And that's how they're making their money, and that's how they're able to get more out of you than you really want to offer. Once you have a browser, you can have these plug-in extensions that make your life easier. These are some of the ones that I think people use a lot. Password managers is one of the easiest ones. As soon as you buy LastPass or you buy Norton, it's going to put a plug-in into your browser, make it more efficient. It's going to be able to keep you from going to sites that are bad. It's going to keep you from opening emails that are bad. So it helps the browser. DuckDuckGo is privacy. They can correct your grammar. Anybody who watches Warriors basketball has seen this Rocket 10 ad, and you're like, what the heck is Rocket 10? Well, they're offering to pay you for the information you're willing to give them. So every time you go to Best Buy and you shop, they keep track of everything you looked at. They sell that information to Best Buy, and they give you a little kickback on whatever you bought. So there's ways of making money just by being willing to give up your passwords, or not to your passwords, to give up your privacy. But if you're going to give up your privacy, make sure you're doing it for a reason. So there's some samples of things there. Final tips, follow the instructions we've given you in the Fix It Before. You're able to reach out to Graceway, and just by calling the church office, they'll get you in touch with one of us. We get an email, we decide who's available, and we go and make the service call. If they want to share this presentation or some separate handouts, one's called Click This, Not That. One's called Avoiding Ripoffs. If you go to gracewaylife.org and just the /helping hands, you'll find all this material. You can share it with friends, families, neighbors. This is essentially a way of reaching out, right? This is a way of sharing a blessing that you can help people to avoid getting ripped off. And in the background, it says a little bit about Graceway, and it talks about us. So, a little subliminal evangelism.